In Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, the floating coliseum houses 5 Lynels, extremely tough boss-type enemies that drop some of the strongest and best bows, fused materials, and elixir components in the game. This guide will show how to defeat them and even farm them for overpowered gear. As usual, useful timestamps can be found in the video description. Before going to the Coliseum, we need to prepare. This method relies on the fact that when you damage a Lynel while riding on its back, the weapon you use doesn't take any durability damage. So with that in mind, we are going to make an extremely strong weapon to use exclusively against Lynels. The first thing we'll need is the Royal Guard's Claymore, which is surprisingly easy to get. Taking off from the Skyview Tower at Lookout Landing, you can glide toward the main entrance of Hyrule Castle. If you have the glide suit, then getting there is no problem. Even if you don't, having a few stamina vessel upgrades or a couple stamina replenishing consumables will enable you to reach the floating castle. After running through the main entrance into the sanctum, take the left staircase to the 3rd floor. Near the crumbled horse statue's head, you'll find the Royal Guard's bow, which is extremely strong. What we are really after is the Royal Guard's greatsword, which is behind the horse statue's legs. You can also run to the other side of this level to grab the Royal Guard's shield. There are plenty of other good items in Hyrule Castle, but that is all we need for our purposes. What makes the Royal Guard's Claymore special is that it has a property where once it is badly damaged, its attack power is doubled. Not only that, but the attack power of any material fused with it is also doubled. Normally, this would only last for the few swings remaining in the Claymore. However, we will only be using this weapon while on the Lynel's backs, so it won't take any durability damage and can be used indefinitely. With that in mind, the next step for this guide is to perform heavy attacks with the Royal Guard's Claymore until getting the notification that it is badly damaged, at which point we'll stop using it. We will also need a good fuse material to fuse with the Royal Guard's Claymore. The black Bokoblin horn is decently strong, and black Bokoblins are fairly easy to beat. If you are having trouble finding a black Bokoblin, I'm almost positive they are guaranteed to spawn in Lurelin Village, which is located on the coast near the southeast corner of the map. Once you've gotten a black Bokoblin horn or anything stronger, fuse it with the badly damaged Claymore. We now have our weapon to take on the Lynels, which should have an attack power of nearly 100 or more. Before heading to the Coliseum, where we will get our overpowered loot and as a bonus Majora's Mask, there are some remaining necessary items to check off. The reasons why will become apparent during the fight, but trust me when I say you will need them. First is a decent supply of arrows, around 25, and the Royal Guard's bow we just got. We will also need around 8 bomb flowers or zonai cannons. In addition, be sure that you have at least 2 stamina vessel upgrades, or 5 consumables that can replenish about half a wheel of stamina each. Next, Bright Bloom seeds are highly recommended as the Coliseum is in the depths where it is very dark. Finally, while it is not 100% necessary, the Fierce Deity armor set will max out your attack power bonus, which will help greatly. The Fierce Deity set is obtained as part of a chain quest that begins near the Foothill Staple to the northeast of Central Hyrule. From there, you should be able to see smoke rising from a campfire to the north. Upon arrival, you'll meet 2 brothers in discussion. Speak with them to begin the Misko's Cave of Chests side quest. While you could go into the cave and look through the chests yourself, it's easier to have a dog help with the task. Feed the nearby dog around 7 food items. This can be raw meat, but it can also be fruits like apples. Just grab the items out of your inventory and throw them on the ground in front of the dog. Once you've fed the dog enough food, it will start leading you into the nearby Cephla Lake Cave. The dog will sniff around and find a specific chest for you to dig up. Use the Ultra Hand to pull the chest free and open it for the Ember Trousers. At this point, the treasure hunting brothers will approach for another conversation. Afterwards, there will be a message in the bottle that you can read. It talks about the Fierce Deity sword and hints at the location of 3 keys associated with the Fierce Deity's form, which is actually the armor set that needs to be worn to get the Fierce Deity sword. Once you've gone through the message in the bottle, the side quest Misko's Treasure, the Fierce Deity, will be added to your journal. The first piece of the Fierce Deity armor set we will go for is in the old Stump in Hyrule Field. To the northwest of the Hyrule Field Skyview Tower is a landmark called the Ancient Tree Stump. Make your way over there and descend into the caverns below. On the south side of the cavern is a cave blocked by vines. A bladed weapon or fire can be used to clear the path ahead. We will then need to make our way through a winding path that involves a bit of climbing. At the end of the path, there will be another set of vines blocking a treasure chamber. Clear the vines away and open the chest to retrieve the Fierce Deity boots. Like the rest of the armor set, these boots increase your attack damage. The next piece of armor we will go for is beneath the bedchamber of Akkala's red-crowned Citadel. This location is to the northeast of central Hyrule. You can reach the top of the Citadel from the Ulri Mountain Skyview Tower by using a combination of gliding and diving. To find the hidden treasure chamber, start from the Domizuin Shrine, which is at the top of the Citadel, and head west around the castle ruins. Climb up the inviting ledge and turn right. There is a small hole in the wall that we can duck under. This drops down into a treasure chamber where the Fierce Deity chest armor is found. The final piece of armor we will go for is in the Skull's left eye. It is located in Skull Lake, which is near the northeast edge of the map. To get there, I started from the Ulri Mountain Skyview Tower and glided northeast to East Akkala Stable. From there, I retrieved my horse and rode northwest along the Akkala Wilds mountain ridge, eventually reaching a spot on a ledge overlooking Skull Lake. Jumping off there, it was easy to glide up onto the tall protruding spire that is the left eye of Skull Lake. All that's left is to save the game in case you hit a wall, then dive into the eye. A pool of water at the bottom will break your fall, and you can begin making your way through. You'll eventually reach a breakable wall that needs to be cleared with either bombs or a blunt weapon. Once you get to the cavern on the other side, climb the mound to retrieve the Fierce Deity mask. Finally, now that we have the full Fierce Deity set, we can don it and return to Cephla Lake Cave. Upon entering the cave with the Fierce Deity set equipped, a stone wall will slide open, revealing a treasure chamber. Inside, you will find the Fierce Deity sword, completing this particular side quest. The sword is very powerful. Unfortunately, like all other weapons, it will eventually break with use. The armor, on the other hand, is very good and can be worn without worry, as armor never breaks. It is time to go to the floating coliseum, and it is located in the depths. The entrance we want to use is the Great Plateau North Chasm, which we can get to by gliding south from Hyrule Field Skyview Tower. Once in the depths, locate and activate the nearby Bright Root to provide more light. Before we head to the Coliseum, I suggest placing a pin on this location near its entrance to help with navigation. Here is the pin's location on the above ground map in case you don't have that area filled out on the depths map. There are all sorts of ways you could get to the Coliseum, but to make this guide the most accessible, I will show the path I take on foot. It starts with climbing a nearby stone arch to use as a jumping off point. We can glide over to the north wall and climb the rest of the way up with minimal stamina. From there, we will need to run past a couple groups of enemies and around a few puddles of gloom. As long as you watch your step and keep moving, you shouldn't take any damage. If it ever gets too dark to see where you are going, throw down Bright Bloom seeds as you run. Once you get to the pin, just keep moving north and stay up along the ridge and out of the water. The terrain will eventually shallow out and you can swim across the small body of water to the Coliseum's entrance. We are finally at the main event, taking on the Lynels. Fortunately, we don't have to take on all 5 Lynels at once. They will instead be let out one at a time, and we can also save our progress after defeating each Lynel, but more on that later. Make sure to save before entering the Coliseum, then throw a giant Bright Bloom seed near the center to light the whole thing up. First up is just a basic Lynel, and remember, we are only going to attack it with the Claymore once we are on its back. The Lynel will sometimes perform specific attacks that leave itself open to being mounted, but from my experience, the most reliable way to open a window for mounting Lynels is by hitting them in the face with an arrow. This staggers them and allows them to be mounted. It is a small target and can be difficult to hit at first. Personally, I've found that locking on with a left trigger makes it much easier to hit my shots. If you're still having trouble aiming, try disabling the aim with motion controls option in the settings. After stunning the Lynel and mounting it, the strategy is simple: swing away with your beefed up Claymore. Staying mounted consumes stamina over time. You will stay mounted until you land enough hits or until you run out of stamina. Getting kicked off from running out of stamina results in taking damage. This is only a concern the first time you mount a new Lynel, as it requires more hits to conclude on the initial mount. Even then, you will only run out of stamina if you have less than 2 stamina vessel upgrades. If you do have less than 2 stamina vessel upgrades, you can pause when you are almost out of stamina and use a stamina replenishing consumable to stay mounted until you've landed all of your hits. Subsequent mounts on the same Lynel require only 3 hits before successfully ending, so stamina drain will not be a concern. I was going to discuss how to dodge and defend against Lynel attacks, but the best defense truly is a good offense, and as long as you are landing headshots fairly consistently, the Lynels won't get the opportunity to hit you. Once the first Lynel is defeated, pause the game and make sure you have an open spot in your inventory for a bow, even if you have to drop one. This is because the Lynel will drop a tri-shot bow and we are going to use it. This next part is important as we are going to save our progress. There are only 2 steps, but the steps need to be done in the right order. Step 1 is to pick up any items you want to keep so they are in your inventory, and step 2 is to save the game. This order is crucial because any items that are on the ground when you save the game will not be there when you load that save, instead they will be permanently lost. But as long as you do it right, nothing bad will happen and it makes the Coliseum much more manageable because if we slip up on the fight with the next Lynel, we can just reload that save. The Lynel we defeated will still be defeated and we will have all its loot, and we can try again on fighting the next Lynel. Also, it doesn't matter where the current Lynel is when you save. It will always appear at its initial position when you load the save. I will show an example of loading a save later in the Coliseum. For now, let's keep going. If anything, the second Lynel should be easier because we now have a tri-shot Lynel bow, which makes hitting headshots much easier. Something to keep in mind while fighting these Lynels is that at any time you can destroy the material that is fused with your Claymore and replace it with one of the stronger fused materials from the Lynels. I'll point out when I do this, which is after defeating the third Lynel. Going forward, I'll let the fights play out and only chime in when necessary. Here, after defeating the second Lynel, I'm making room in my inventory for the bow that's going to drop. As soon as I can, I pick up all the items I want from the ground and then save the game before starting the fight with the third Lynel. After defeating the third Lynel, I do the same thing, making room in my inventory for items I want to pick up. I also wanted to show what happens when you reload the game. Everything on the ground disappears, and the current Lynel returns to its starting position. I also decided here that I wanted to fuse the Saber horn from the third Lynel to my Claymore. So I dropped the Saber horn on the ground, destroyed the Bokoblin horn on my Claymore, then fused the new item. After doing this, I saved again, so I wouldn't have to repeat the fuse if things went sideways. And that turned out to be a good idea because I got smacked almost immediately after. I reloaded the game once more and went to work on the silver Lynel, doing a lot more damage with the upgraded Claymore. I repeated the same save process once more after defeating the fourth Lynel. If you want to upgrade the Claymore with a silver Lynel Saber horn at this point, you can, but I didn't think it was necessary and I didn't want to destroy the fuse material I already had on it. In any case, the last Lynel is the same type as the fourth Lynel, but it is protected by an outer set of armor. Use either bomb plants or zonai cannons as attachments to your arrows to quickly and safely destroy the armor. If you are good at dodging, you can also do a flurry rush with a blunt weapon. Just make sure it isn't the Royal Guard's Claymore, as that will break. Once you destroy the armor, the Lynel will be stunned and you can mount it. Then just repeat the same process as with the previous Lynel. In addition to the other items, the armored Lynel drops a spiked piece of armor that you can fuse to a shield of your choice. If this was the first time you completed the Coliseum, you can open the chest to get a final reward, Majora's Mask, which disguises you from most humanoid enemies. These Lynels respawn each time there is a blood moon, and can be farmed for additional materials. Before doing that, I would make a trip to the Break-Apart shop in Terrytown if you want to recover your less than optimal fuse material from the Claymore. Then you can fuse a silver Lynel Saber horn to the Claymore for a resulting weapon with a whopping 174 attack power. This weapon will make future runs through the Coliseum much easier. You can also use the Break-Apart shop to recover these rare and powerful Lynel materials from any weapon that is about to break. Then put them on a fresh new base weapon, allowing you to use them indefinitely. If you want to see more great guides, you can head over to my channel, and if you're new, consider subscribing. You're helping me feed my cat, her name's Marshmallow. Have a great day. If you're here today, have a great Sunday, and a great week. And as always, thanks for watching.